I stood at the back of the auditorium, cap and gown pressed against my body, watching the empty seats where they should have been. The ceremony had started 20 minutes ago. I'd checked my phone 16 times in the last hour, each glance more desperate than the last. No messages, no missed calls, just the screaming silence of people who'd made their choice. Around me, families clustered in tight groups, cameras flashing, voices rising in celebration. I saw Rachel's parents holding a banner with her name spelled out in glitter. I saw Tom's grandmother crying into a handkerchief, pride written across every line of her face. I saw what family looked like when you mattered. My phone buzzed. Finally. Mum. Sorry, honey, Bella's wedding coordinator says we can't miss the venue walkthrough. You understand. We'll celebrate when we get back. 4 years. 4 years of sleepless nights, of working 2 jobs to cover what scholarships didn't, of clawing my way to summa cum laude, while everyone at home talked about Bella's engagement like it was the second coming. And they couldn't give me 3 hours. I typed and deleted 5 responses before settling on, okay, what else was there to say? That I'd already said it all? That I'd begged them last week to please, just this once, choose me? That Mum had looked at me with that particular expression of hers, the one that said I was being selfish for even asking. Bella's wedding is once in a lifetime, Amelia, she'd said, as if my graduation wasn't. The valedictorian took the stage. I'd missed that honour by 0.03 of a GPA point. So close. But even if I'd gotten it, even if I were the one standing at that podium right now, they wouldn't be here to see it. I watched the ceremony through a fog. Heard my name called. Walked across that stage to receive my diploma, a piece of paper that had cost me everything, while the people who were supposed to witness it were 4 states away, arranging flowers for my sister's perfect day. The photographer grabbed me afterward. Where's your family? We need to get some shots before everyone leaves. They couldn't make it. His face did that thing people's faces do, that flash of pity quickly covered by professional neutrality. No problem. We can do some solo shots. You look great. I smiled for the camera. Years of practice had taught me how to arrange my features into something that looked like happiness. Click, click, click. Evidence that I'd been here, that I'd done this, that it had meant something even if no one had cared enough to watch. That night, I sat alone in my apartment with takeout I couldn't taste and a diploma I couldn't feel proud of. My phone lit up with photos from Bella's venue walkthrough. She looked radiant, of course. She always did. Mom and Dad flanked her like bookends, like supporting pillars, like she was the only daughter they'd ever had. I scrolled through the images. Bella laughing. Bella pointing at flower arrangements. Bella trying on veils. Mum crying happy tears. Dad's arm around both of them. Not a single text asking how my graduation went. I set the phone face down and stared at my diploma propped against the wall. Summa cum laude. Top 5% of my class. 4 years of perfect attendance, of raising my hand, of staying after class, of caring so much it physically hurt. All of it invisible. The weeks that followed felt like walking underwater. I moved through the motions, packing up my apartment, applying for jobs, responding to Bella's endless wedding planning texts. She sent me 3 bridesmaid dress options and told me to pick one. I chose the cheapest. Are you excited? She asked during one of her rare phone calls. Only 2 months until the big day. Yeah, I said. Excited. She didn't notice the flatness in my voice. She never did. Bella moved through the world assuming everyone shared her joy, that her happiness was contagious, that we all wanted to orbit her light. And maybe that was fair. Maybe she'd never asked for the favoritism, never demanded that Mum and Dad drop everything for her. Maybe it had just happened naturally, the pretty one, the charming one, the daughter who made everything look easy. I was the one who made things look hard, the one who had to try. the one whose achievements felt like obligations rather than gifts. The job rejections started rolling in. 27 applications, 27 variations of, "We've decided to move forward with other candidates." My degree, my honours, my carefully crafted resume, none of it enough. I was sitting at my laptop staring at rejection number 28 when Bella video called. "Emergency," she said before I could even say hello. "The florist double booked. Can you call around and find someone else? Mum's busy with the caterer, and I'm drowning in seating charts." I'm actually in the middle of, "Please, Amelia, you're so good at this stuff, and you're not doing anything important right now anyway, right? You're just job hunting. Just job hunting. Just trying to build a life. Just attempting to justify 4 years of sacrifice." "Sure," I said. "I'll make some calls." I spent 6 hours on the phone tracking down a florist who could accommodate a 200-person wedding on 8 weeks' notice. When I finally found one, Bella's response was, "Great, can you get quotes from 3 more? Just to compare." That night, I lay in bed and did the math. If I'd worked those 6 hours at my old campus job, I would have made $92. Money I desperately needed. Time I couldn't afford to waste. But family didn't work on transaction logic. Family worked on the assumption that love meant endless availability, that support meant erasing yourself, that being the overlooked daughter meant being grateful for whatever scraps of attention came your way. The wedding invitations arrived. Thick cardstock, elegant calligraphy, Bella's and James's names embossed in Joe Gold. I ran my finger over the lettering and felt nothing. Mum called that night. "Did you get your invitation? Isn't it beautiful? The designer did such an amazing job." "It's nice. We need to finalise your bridesmaid duties. You're in charge of the guest book table and making sure the gift cards go into the lockbox. Oh, and can you give a speech? Nothing long. Just a few words about how happy you are for your sister." My throat tightened. "Mum, I don't think... It would mean so much to Bella. You're her only sister, Amelia. She wants you to be part of this." Part of it. Not the centre, never the centre. Just another piece in Bella's perfect day. Another supporting character in her story. "Okay," I said, because that's what I always said. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and stared at the blank document. Speech for Bella's wedding. I typed and deleted the same sentence 7 times. How do you celebrate someone who'd never celebrated you? How do you express joy you didn't feel? I settled on something generic and safe. 3 paragraphs about sisterhood and love and new beginnings. Words that sounded nice and meant nothing. The wedding approached like a freight train. Bella sent daily updates in the family group chat. Dress fittings, cake tastings, last-minute panics about napkin colours. Mum and Dad responded with enthusiasm and emojis. I sent thumbs-up reactions and wondered if they noticed I'd stopped using actual words. 1 week before the wedding, I got rejection number 42. This one from a position I'd been certain about, an interview I thought had gone well. The email was clinical. "While your qualifications are impressive, we've selected a candidate whose experience better aligns with our needs." I closed my laptop and walked to the bathroom. Looked at myself in the mirror. 4 years older than my graduation photos, but somehow I looked more tired than triumphant. My degree hadn't opened doors. My honours hadn't mattered. My family hadn't watched me walk across that stage, and now the world was confirming what I'd always feared, that all of it had been pointless. I thought about Bella, who'd breezed through a communications degree with a 2.9 GPA and landed a PR job through Dad's golf buddy within a week of graduating. I thought about the universe's casual cruelty, the way it rewarded charm over effort, beauty over substance. The next morning, I woke up dizzy, stood up too fast and had to grab the wall. The room tilted, spun, settled, probably just stress. Probably just the weight of everything catching up. I made coffee I didn't drink and toast I couldn't eat, sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop to the job search sites I'd memorized by now. The same postings recycling through, the same requirements I met but somehow didn't. My phone buzzed. Bella. Can you pick up my dress from the alterations place? They close at 5 and I have a meeting. It was 11 a.m. The shop was 40 minutes away. I had a phone. Interview scheduled at 2. I called and rescheduled the interview. Drove to the alteration shop. Waited 20 minutes while they found Bella's dress, drove it to her apartment and hung it in her closet while she barely looked up from her laptop. You're the best, she said absently. Oh, and can you grab dinner stuff? James is coming over and I haven't had time to shop. I went to the grocery store, bought ingredients for the meal she wanted, dropped them off, drove home in silence, my hands tight on the wheel, my chest tight with something I couldn't name. That night, the dizziness came back worse. I stood up from the couch and the world went sideways. I reached for the armrest, missed, felt myself falling. The floor was cold. That's what I remember most. How cold the floor was, and how the ceiling looked very far away, and how quiet my apartment was. No one to call for, no one to notice. I tried to stand, couldn't. My limbs felt heavy, disconnected. The dizziness had evolved into something else. A wrongness, a fundamental system failure. I managed to grab my phone, tried to dial 911. My fingers wouldn't cooperate. The screen swam in and out of focus. I thought about calling Mum. Didn't. What would I say? That I'd ruined everything by having a medical emergency 6 days before Bella's wedding? That I'd made it about me again? The coldness spread. I thought distantly that this was probably bad, that I should be more afraid. But mostly I felt tired. So tired of trying, of being invisible, of measuring my worth in other people's absent attention. The phone slipped from my hand. I heard it clatter against the floor. I thought about my graduation, about those empty seats, about the diploma on my wall that no one had witnessed me earn, about the speech I'd written for Bella's wedding, 3 paragraphs of lies about sisterly love. The cold reached my core. The apartment blurred, and I thought, at least now they'll have to notice me. Then, nothing. Then light. Bright. Sterile. Wrong. I opened my eyes to my childhood bedroom, unchanged from 10 years ago. The posters on the walls, the textbooks on the desk, the backpack hanging on the door handle. I sat up. My body moved easily without the weakness I'd felt before. My hands were younger. No calluses from years of campus jobs, no tension from hunching over laptop applications. My phone sat on the nightstand. I picked it up with shaking fingers. The date read, August 15th, move-in day for freshman year. I was 18 again. The memory of everything that came after sat crystal clear in my mind. 4 years of invisible effort. A graduation no one attended, a wedding I'd sacrificed for, a life that had narrowed and dimmed until it went dark on a cold apartment floor. And now I was here, at the beginning, with the weight of that future pressing against my chest. I stood up and walked to the mirror. 18-year-old me looked back, younger, hopeful, stupid. She didn't know yet, didn't know that trying wouldn't matter, that excellence wouldn't save her, that family was a contract where only one party had to fulfill their obligations. Downstairs, I heard Mum's voice. Amelia, breakfast! Breakfast! We need to leave in an hour! The same morning, the same send-off breakfast before I'd left for college. I remembered this. Mum making pancakes, Dad reading the paper, Bella still asleep because her classes didn't start until next week. I walked downstairs on autopilot, sat at the table, accepted the plate Mum slid in front of me. Excited? She asked, that same bright tone from 10 years ago. I looked at her, really looked. In my first life, I'd said yes, I was excited. I talked about my classes and my roommate and my dreams. I'd been enthusiastic and grateful and painfully earnest. This time I just said, "Sure." Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe. But Dad turned the page of his newspaper, and Mum refilled her coffee and the moment passed. I ate my pancakes in silence, tasted them this time. They were good. I'd forgotten that, how Mum made good pancakes when she tried, when she had reason to. The drive to campus played out like a script I'd memorized. Dad's jokes about college parties, Mum's reminders about calling home, their casual assumption that I'd be fine, that I was competent enough to handle this, that I didn't need the same tearful send-off they'd give Bella the following week. They helped me unpack. 30 minutes, efficient and practical. Then Mum kissed my forehead and Dad squeezed my shoulder, and they were gone, back to a house where I was now just an absence, a bedroom to repurpose. I sat on my dorm bed and opened my laptop. This time, I knew what came next. Knew which classes mattered, which professors to impress, which opportunities to chase. But more importantly, I knew what didn't matter. The exhaustive note-taking, the people-pleasing, the desperate striving for acknowledgement that would never come. This time, I would do things differently. I still excelled. That part came naturally. I couldn't turn off the part of me that cared about learning, about understanding, about doing things right. But I stopped performing my excellence, stopped sending weekly updates home about my grades, stopped seeking approval I now knew would never arrive. When Mum called, I kept conversations brief and surface level. When Bella complained about her own classes, I offered sympathy without solving her problems. When Dad asked how I was managing, I said fine, and didn't elaborate. They didn't notice the change. Why would they? I was giving them exactly what they'd always wanted, a low-maintenance daughter who required minimal attention. Junior year, Bella got engaged. The family group chat exploded with excitement. I responded with a simple congratulations and muted the conversation. Mum called that night. "Isn't it wonderful? James is such a catch. Bella's so happy." "That's great," I said. "The wedding will probably be summer after your senior year. You'll be in the wedding party, of course. Bella wants you as a bridesmaid." In my first life, I'd been honoured, thrilled to be included, to matter in this small way. Now I just felt tired. "We'll see how schedules work out," I said. Mum's silence was sharp. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'll be graduating that month. I'll let you know if I can make it." "Amelia, it's your sister's wedding." "And it's my graduation." Like I said, we'll see how schedules work out. I hung up before she could respond. Sat in my dorm room, heart pounding, waiting for the guilt to hit. It didn't come. Senior year arrived. I continued my path towards summa cum laude, but this time I applied my energy strategically. I built relationships with professors who valued my work. I networked with alumni in my field. I prepared for life after college with the cold clarity of someone who'd already lived through the alternative. 4 months before graduation, Bella's wedding date was announced, the same weekend as my graduation ceremony. Mum called. "So there's a tiny scheduling overlap, but Bella really can't change the date. The venue's only available that weekend. You understand, right? We'll celebrate your graduation another time." I'd been waiting for this, had known it was coming. Still, hearing the words, the casual assumption of my flexibility, my understanding, my endless capacity to accommodate, hit differently when you died from it once. "No," I said. "What?" I said no, it's my graduation. I'll be walking across that stage whether you're there or not, but I won't be at Bella's wedding. "Amelia, be reasonable." I am being reasonable. I'm choosing to attend my own graduation ceremony. That's the most reasonable thing I've ever done. "This is selfish. It's your sister's one special day, and it's mine too. Funny how that works." I hung up. This time, the guilt did try to surface, conditioned by years of being the accommodating one, the understanding one, the one who bent. I breathed through it and let it pass. They called back. Multiple times. I let it go to voicemail. Dad's message was measured and disappointed. Mum's was hurt and accusatory. Bella's was tearful and confused. I listened to all of them once and deleted them. The next day, I received a formal graduation ceremony invitation from the university. They'd selected me to give the student address, not valedictorian, but the speech that represented the graduating class's voice. I stared at the email. In my first life, this had gone to someone else, but this time, I'd been visible. This time, professors had noticed me, not because I was desperate for approval, but because I was genuinely present. I accepted. I spent 3 weeks writing that speech. Not the generic platitudes about futures and dreams, but something real, something about finding your worth when the people who should give it to you can't, about building yourself from nothing when you realize no one's coming to save you, about the quiet strength of choosing yourself. I didn't tell my family. Let them think I was just another graduate walking across the stage, interchangeable and forgettable. Graduation day arrived clear and bright. I put on my cap and gown. No nervous checking of my phone. No desperate hope that they'd change their minds. I knew exactly where they were, 4 states away, watching Bella get married. The auditorium filled. I saw other families, other proud parents, other people who'd shown up, and I felt nothing but calm. When they called my name to give the student address, I walked to that podium with steady steps, looked out at hundreds of faces, none of them my family's. I pulled out my speech, started talking. I spent 4 years learning that excellence is not enough, that working harder than everyone else won't save you, that the people who are supposed to love you most can still choose to look away. Silence rippled through the audience. This wasn't the inspirational platitude they'd expected. I learned that you can graduate summa cum laude and still be invisible. That you can sacrifice everything and still not matter. That sometimes the people who should celebrate you won't even show up. Murmurs now, discomfort mixing with recognition. But I also learned this. Your worth is not determined by who witnesses it. Your achievements don't disappear because no one's watching. You are not less valuable because you are less valued. I looked across the sea of faces, saw some people nodding, saw others wiping their eyes. So to everyone sitting here without their families, without the support they deserved, without the recognition they earned, I see you. Your hard work mattered. Your persistence mattered. You mattered. And you still matter, even when you're the only one who knows it. My voice stayed steady. 4 years of practice at keeping my pain private had taught me how to speak my truth without breaking. We are graduating today. We earned this. And whether anyone's here to watch or not, we're walking across this stage with our heads high because we showed up for ourselves. And that's the only validation we ever really needed. I finished, stepped back. For a moment, nothing, then applause. Not polite courtesy clapping, but real, sustained applause. Some people stood. Then more. Then the whole audience, on their feet, clapping for the speech about absence, about resilience, about the quiet dignity of continuing when no one's watching. I walked back to my seat, sat down, let the ceremony wash over me. When they called my name again to receive my diploma, I crossed that stage alone and entirely whole. After the ceremony, students found me. Strangers with tears in their eyes, telling me their own stories of absent families, of invisibility, of learning to matter to themselves. We stood in clusters outside the auditorium, a tribe of the overlooked, finally seeing each other. Someone had filmed my speech, posted it online. By that evening, it had 10,000 views. By the next morning, 100,000. By the end of the week, it had gone viral, shared by counsellors and therapists and people who'd never felt seen, reposted with captions about family trauma and self-worth, and the quiet revolution of choosing yourself. News outlets picked it up. Graduating students' brutally honest speech about absent parents resonates with millions. Think pieces about favouritism in families, op-eds about the invisible children who excel in silence. My phone exploded with interview requests. I ignored most of them, but accepted a few: major outlets, reputable journalists. I told my story simply and without drama. The facts were damning enough. My family missed my graduation to attend my sister's wedding, I said on camera. That's their choice, and this is mine, to keep moving forward. The video reached 20 million views, 30, 50, and then Mum called. I let it ring out. She called again, then Dad, then Bella, then all three of them in a loop, desperate to reach me. Finally, I answered Mum's call. Amelia. Her voice was tight. We need to talk. Okay. That speech. Everyone's seen it. Do you know how this makes us look? I almost laughed. How it makes you look. That's what you're worried about. You made us sound like terrible parents. I told the truth. If the truth makes you look bad, maybe examine the truth. We were at your sister's wedding. It was important. So was my graduation. Apparently less important. Silence. Then, you're embarrassing this family. No, I said quietly. You did that yourselves. I just stopped covering for you. I hung up. Bella tried next. Her voice was small, confused. Amelia, I don't understand. I thought you were happy for me. You wrote that nice speech for my wedding. A speech I never gave because I wasn't there. But you chose your graduation over my wedding. That was your choice. Yes, it was. Just like you all chose your priorities. We all made choices, Bella. You just don't like that mine involved choosing myself. Everyone thinks we're horrible people now. Do you know what my friends are saying? What James's family is saying? That must be hard for you, I said without sympathy. Being publicly judged for your private choices. She started crying. In my first life, those tears would have broken me. Would have made me apologise, backtrack, make it better. This time, I just waited. I never meant to hurt you, she said finally. I know. That's the problem. You never meant anything about me at all. I was just there. Background noise in your story. I hung up before she could respond. The calls kept coming. Messages from relatives I barely knew, suddenly concerned about healing the family. Friends of my parents defending their choice. A few brave souls who'd always been on the outside of our family dynamic, saying they'd noticed, they'd always noticed. I responded to none of them. Instead, I accepted a job offer that had come through my speech's publicity, a non-profit working with first-generation college students from difficult family backgrounds, good salary, meaningful work, a team that had read my story and wanted to support me. I moved across the country, got an apartment with a view, bought furniture that was actually mine, chosen for my taste, my comfort, my life. I hung my diploma on the wall. No one saw it but me. That was enough. Months passed, the viral wave receded, but the impact remained. I received emails constantly from people sharing their stories, thanking me for giving voice to their experience. I read every single one, responded when I could, let them know they weren't alone. On what would have been the anniversary of my death in my first life, I sat on my couch with tea and my laptop, pulled up the video of my speech, watched myself at that podium, speaking truth into a silence that had lasted years. 52 million views now, comments in the hundreds of thousands, my words, my truth reaching people across the world who needed to hear that they mattered even when they felt invisible. My phone buzzed. a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. "This is Bella. I know you blocked us. I just wanted you to know I've been in therapy, working on understanding things, understanding what we did to you, what I did. You don't have to respond. I just needed you to know I'm sorry, really sorry, and I'm trying to be better." I read it 3 times, felt the old instinct to respond immediately, to reassure, to make it okay. Instead, I set my phone down, sipped my tea, looked at my diploma on the wall, my speech paused on the laptop screen, the life I'd built from the ashes of my first one. Maybe someday I'd respond to Bella. Maybe someday we'd have a conversation about accountability and change. Maybe. But not today. Today, I had an email to answer from a college freshman whose parents had forgotten her birthday. I had a meeting about expanding our nonprofit's reach. I had dinner plans with colleagues who valued me, who saw me, who celebrated my work and my presence. I had a life where I mattered because I decided I mattered. The speech had given me platform and visibility, yes, but the rebirth had given me something more important. The knowledge that I didn't need anyone's validation to be whole, that my worth existed independent of who witnessed it, that choosing myself wasn't selfish, it was survival. I finished my tea, closed my laptop, looked out my window at the city I'd chosen, the life I'd built, the future that was entirely mine. Somewhere, my family was dealing with the consequences of their choices. Somewhere, people were still sharing my speech, finding strength in my words. Somewhere, the universe was offering its strange justice. But here, in this moment, in this apartment, in this body that had died from neglect and woken up with a second chance, here I was simply at peace. I didn't need them to understand, didn't need them to apologize, didn't need their regrets or recognition or belated attempts at redemption. I had already won, not through revenge, not through confrontation, but through the quiet, radical act of choosing myself, of speaking my truth, of building a life where my absence from their story became my presence in my own. The empty seats at my graduation had become millions of people listening to my voice. The invisibility had become visibility on my own terms. The pain had become purpose. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything.